7:03 on Monday, November 17th. 41 degrees, going to be breezy, windy today, only reaching the low 50s. Good morning, I'm John Aaron.
I'm Michelle Basch. Our top local story, there are more signs that things are getting back to normal after the record-setting federal government shutdown. All of the Smithsonian museums in our region will be back open today. They closed October 12th and have been reopening on a staggered basis since the shutdown ended last week. Also, airlines have resumed their normal flight schedules this morning. The FAA lifting restrictions at 6 a.m. today. Reductions had to be made during the shutdown over staffing shortages as more and more air traffic controllers called out sick. The number of flight cancellations over the weekend was at its lowest point since that order to cut back flights took effect.
Now that's good timing considering Thanksgiving is just 10 days away now. It's typically the single busiest holiday for travel, and WTOP's Neil Augenstein tells us what we can expect.
A record number of travelers this year, according to AAA, and 90% of them will be here on the roads. And that could be even higher if some choose to drive rather than fly because of the recent flight cancellations. Now that the FAA has lifted all restrictions on domestic air traffic, about 2% more flyers are expected over last Thanksgiving. The average round-trip domestic flight is averaging about $700, which is the same as last year. If you're renting a car at the airport, it's about 15% cheaper this year than last. If you're driving this holiday, it'll cost about the same at the pump as last year. The national average for a gallon of regular on Thanksgiving Day is $3.06. The worst times to drive, Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons and the Sunday after Thanksgiving. The worst time around here, Tuesday afternoon between D.C. and Baltimore on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, could take you 2.5 times as long as it normally does. Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Making our roads safer was a big issue over the weekend. WTOP's Grace Newton reports advocates turned out near George Washington University Hospital in honor of a global day to remember traffic victims.
Speeding is something that doesn't care about borders. It doesn't matter where you are. It affects people across the region.
Jessica Hart with DC Families for Safe Streets lost her 5-year-old daughter, Allie, when she was hit by a car riding her bike in a crosswalk in 2021. Hart says laws like the STEER Act, which allows for stricter enforcement against repeat traffic offenders, has saved lives. Now, DC Families for Safe Streets is focused on increasing auto insurance minimums in the district to help crash victims afford medical care.
So if you're injured in DC, you get pennies. And it doesn't, especially if you're injured, it doesn't really make a dent in your medical bills. And if someone is killed, then it's a drop in the bucket for any family who's lost somebody.
Outside GW Hospital, Grace Newton, WTOP News.
The funeral for former Vice President Dick Cheney will take place on Thursday in D.C. It'll be held at the Washington National Cathedral starting at 11 a.m. Cheney died on November 3rd at the age of 84 from pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. The longtime force in Republican politics served under former President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2009 and was considered one of the most powerful and controversial men to hold that vice presidential role. Several road closures are expected around the cathedral on that day. Keep it here on WTOP for the latest.
The first NFL game ever played in Madrid, Spain, started off well for the Commanders, but during the first offensive play of overtime, QB Marcus Mariota was intercepted, and that led to a Dolphins field goal.
Riley Patterson, 29-yard attempt for the win from the left hash. It is straight through.
That is how it sounded on NFL Network as the Burgundy and Gold suffered a 6th straight loss. So is it season over for the team?
They're currently in 14th place of the NFC. 4 games out of the 7th and final playoff spot. Thanks, if it weren't for the complete incompetence of the New York Giants, they would be in last place at this time, but the G-men are even worse. So, they're going to play these games, they're going to do their best. The guys who have expiring contracts and even young players, they know that every game is an audition for somebody else to stay in the league. So the players haven't given up. The coaching staff is not giving up, but in reality, this season is a wash.
That is our sports anchor, Dave Preston. He says while the Commanders will keep competing, the focus now shifts to development on who earns a spot in next year's games.
It's time for WTOP's Cash Dash contest. Your chance to win $1,035 each week and a grand prize of $3,500. This hour's code word is segment, SEGMENT. Enter that in the WTOP app by the end of today. Come back every hour through 7 p.m. for a new code word. The more code words you enter each day, the more chances you have to win some cash. WTOP's Cash Dash contest is being held weekdays through November 21st.
Coming up in Money News.
A look at Amtrak's latest financial report card. I'm Steve Dresner.
Traffic and weather for you in 30 seconds.